All right, joining me now on DIRTRACKR Conversations. This one's going to be a fun one. I'm excited about this. Most dirt racing fans, I'm assuming at this point, probably don't know who you are, Zach. So Zack Morgan, and you are about to embark on your first attempt at the Chili Bowl. And I have a little bit experience with this. The people that know me through the Open Red podcast, through the World of Outlaws, will remember we did something fairly similar with video guy Ross Weiss here a couple of years ago. But you're going to jump in a midget at the Chili Bowl for the first time. Kind of, who are you? How did you get this deal? I know of you because of your connections in the NASCAR world, but certainly me and you have never met before. But
Right.
but give me an idea about who Zack Morgan is and how this deal came together.
Well, first of all, I'm nobody without my fiance Tina. She wanted to know if she got her shout out, so there it is, Tina. So you can't be upset about that. But now I'm a 28-year-old kid from Missouri, and I was director of motorsports at Bass Pro Shops until about 6 months ago, and then I took a job as a mortgage underwriter at the Rocket family of companies, working for Dan Gilbert, and those guys work remote here in Missouri, but still very passionate about racing and very involved. And Justin, I know you were going to be polite and weren't going to talk about it unless I brought it up. So I'll go ahead and bring it up because it's just part of who I am. But I was born with cerebral palsy and still have it to this day. Use forearm crutches to walk, and been very blessed throughout the years to get in race cars and get in a Camaro and race where Carl Edwards has raced, and Larry Phillips and guys like that at I-44 Speedway in Lebanon, and then did that for a couple years, and then got the dirt racing bug and got an open wheel modified. Raced that for a little while, and then got smart and settled down and got engaged and got a big boy job. And but now we're back to go have some fun because the racing bug does not go away.
Let me know, kind of give me an idea about your kind of career. I know you spent some time at RCR and then at Richard Childress Racing and then moving over to Bass Pro Shops. And like, what was your gig at RCR, and then what brought you over to Bass Pro Shops?
Basically, my gig at RCR was to have fun every weekend. No, realistically, I was an intern in the marketing department and got to do some sponsorship stuff with them and people like Lauren Hoffman and some of those guys over there. Got to travel to a couple races that summer and be a part of the team and do some media updates and do some sponsored recon and things like that. But my involvement with motorsports goes back further than that. Obviously, my big connection is with Johnny Morris and Bass Pro Shops. I met John when I was a 10-year-old kid. And my family and I got to go to a race in Atlanta that he sponsored. Met some people that worked for him, and they said, John, you got to meet this kid. And he met me and immediately gave him the nickname of Z-Man. And the only thing I can really remember about that night, I was 10 years old. So as Robbie Gordon pulled up and we started doing wheelies on this golf cart, and me and Robbie Gordon and Johnny's son, John Paul. But a couple weeks later, I got a note from John and it said to give him a call. And I called him, and we've been all over the country together and been to races all over the U.S. and watched Martin Truex win championships, Austin Dillon win championships, Martin Truex win championships again. I've been there for some pretty cool moments in history as far as Bass Pro Shops and racing. And then with RCR, when I was a little kid, I'm actually one of three people that sat in Dale Sr.'s 98 500 car. So it's me, Austin, Dylan, his grandson, and Dale Sr. So Richard was giving Johnny and I a tour of that museum when it first opened, and we get to that car, and Richard puts the window net down and throws me in it, and Chocolate Myers straps me in that car. It was a cool day, but I got stories like that for hours, but that's not why we're here. So, but extremely blessed individual that's gotten to do some really cool things in a short amount of time. I'm 28 years old, so I hope the good times aren't over quite yet.
With your racing, how do you first get in a race car? And I know you said you've done some pavement stuff, you've done some dirt stuff, but what's your kind of progression been kind of through your life as you've gone on your own racing journey?
Wreck a lot of stuff, wreck a little bit less stuff, and then hopefully you don't wreck and get faster. No, but I went to I-44 Speedway as a kid, and my granddad was a flagman there for years, and I went every Saturday night and got to watch Larry Phillips whip everybody's rear end. I don't know if we can cuss on your podcast.
You can cuss if you want to. This is the internet.
All right, I got to watch Larry Phillips whip everybody's ass. So, that was really fun, and so I always wanted to race, and I was the announcer at I-44 for a couple years, made friends with a guy, got to race his Charger car when I was home from college. I mean, it was just boom. Like, this Charger was the most cheated up 4-cylinder car you've ever seen in your life. Made a 3-wide pass for the lead, like won the first race out in it. And I was like, well, here we go. So got with another buddy of mine that my dad's known for years named Chris Nichols, and him and his dad, Howard, actually built me a 1975 Chevy Camaro that I raced at I-44 for 2 years. Got second in points my rookie year because I couldn't keep from wrecking people and couldn't get the finishes that the car deserved. Rookie driver. So, and then the second year we had a lot of issues, just mechanically, just things going wrong with the car. And decided to hang that up. I love asphalt racing. Nothing wrong with people that asphalt race, but it's more of a who you know crowd. Like it's very cliquey. There's not a lot of opportunity here in Missouri to asphalt race, whereas dirt racing, there's 5 tracks within 2 hours of my house. So like it made more sense to try to get a modified if I wanted to keep racing and race more to race that. So we did that for a year and had a lot of fun and, spent a lot of money and had more fun. So just always been very blessed to have John's support through that. I mean, you can go look up my cars on the internet and got Bass Pro and Tracker boats and Big Cedar Lodge all right there and all the time. And Connie Carroll from Sparco has been a great supporter of mine throughout the years. Fully custom suits, all the Nomex I could wear, the driving gloves I could wear. So big shout out to Connie. I hope she listens to your podcast because
I love Connie. She's great.
Yeah, but she really kept me safe. Butler built with Chris Ferguson. Big shout out to him for always keeping me safe. I have enough problems as it is. I didn't need to get in a race car and amplify those problems. But that's kind of how I kind of semi-retired. Like I was getting older. Like I know like a lot of people was like, 28, you're a kid. But like when you have CP, you age quicker. So, stuff that didn't hurt quite so bad at 20, at 28 really is magnified. Not that I'm making excuses or, sad about it. I mean, it's just life. But, you have to be very real about those situations, kind of like what Dale Jr. did getting out of the car. I mean, is it really worth going through pain or going through some of those things to do it all the time? And also shout out to Dale Jr. because when I ran my asphalt car, I had Dale Jr. racing gloves because he gave me a pair and signed them. In my rookie year, I had 3 wins and 8 heat race wins, so I signed him and gave them back to him. So nice. He's got them somewhere at Dirty Mo Acres. I don't know. He's got them somewhere. But,
I love it. When you were running the modified, what type of modified, like kind of what rules package were you guys on with the modifieds?
So we were it's USRA B mod is what it is.
Okay, yeah.
I wasn't like on an open motor or anything like that. 350 small block with Speedway heads and or you can run a 602 crate motor with a 4-barrel carb. But I never had enough money and enough want to blueprint a crate and cheat up a carb that bad. So I always just went the open route because, I mean, we got big tracks around here. 3/8 of a mile is pretty common, and got to have a decently big motor to get around in places. So I always went the open route. But
what tracks were you racing at?
So I ran at Springfield, I ran at Monette, I ran at Lebanon. They got a little 1/4-mile track. I went to Nevada. I'm not real sure how big Nevada is. I never made it to Lucas Oil Speedway. And then I went to West Plains, Missouri, where they used to have the Show Me 100 for years and years. And that's a big half or a 3/8 mile, big 3/8. So first time, I'll never forget, first time pulling off that racetrack after a practice night. I'd never been that fast in a car in my life. I was like, woo, that is some good times.
How long ago has it been since you've been in a race car?
It's been like 3.5, 4 years, man. I mean, it's sitting here behind my house on jack stands, and I keep saying every year, like, I'm going to get it back out. I'm going to get it back out. I'm going to get it back out. You know, Allgaier, I was talking with Justin Allgaier on the phone a couple weeks ago. He's like, you going to get the damn modified out this year? Same thing with Ryan Newman. Oh, yeah, you've been saying that for 2 years. Like, yeah, I know. Just life gets in the way. You get busy and you get other hobbies. Like, it takes a lot. Like, the thing I will tell about racing, it takes time. Like, it takes your own personal time and a lot of effort, obviously a lot of money. Like, if you want to go fast or look cool, like, it's a lot of money. But then it takes a lot of people around you to make it successful. And that was one thing I was always blessed with when I raced full time, is I had enough guys around me. But as we all get older, we get kids and different things, and those guys have kind of went by the wayside. Nothing, no hard feelings. It's just people grow up and people change. But and that's kind of leads me into this deal where I've got that group of guys that are going to help make me a success. I'm not saying I'm going to go to the Chili Bowl and get in the CMain and start it, but I'll be successful because there's good quality people around me. And I wouldn't get in the situation if I didn't feel comfortable and confident.
Have you been to the Chili Bowl before?
So I went last year for the first time. I remember when I was like, I'm going to say a kid, but I was, in my teens. My dad and I would rent it on pay-per-view, and I always remember Damian Gardner winning the one year that we bought it. So, but it's not like midgets aren't really something that I wasn't really gravitated towards until a couple of years ago. I was hanging out with Ryan Newman and flew into Indiana and went to the BC 39, and we met this guy that Ryan's known for years named Flea Ruzic. And he was just cool as hell. And I was like, hey man, like, can I sit in this car? And he had CJ Leary driving for me. He's like, yeah, get in there. So, just met Flea and here we are, like a couple of years later, I'm going racing at the Chili Bowl in Oklahoma next week. So
how does this deal come together? Is this something you guys have been working on for a while, or is this kind of something that came together? Okay.
Hell no. This was before 2021 even started, like Thursday before the new year. Tom Casson, who is on Twitter as Track Prep, he owns Jacksonville Speedway in Illinois, and he's a buddy of Flea's. And I went racing with Flea and Tommy like later in 2020. We're in 2021 now. So later in 2020, just watching and hanging out. And we were sitting at a Waffle House one night, and Flea's like, yeah, Tommy might not enter any cars at the Chili Bowl. I said, hell, Dad. I said, put me in that thing. And I was like, just let me know how much it costs. He goes, well, it's going to be there anyway. But I was sitting at my desk last Thursday, and I got a text from Tommy. He said, hey, this car's going to the Chili Bowl. You want to race it? And I'm not really going to say exactly what I said in the text message, because like I'll cuss on the air, but probably won't say a couple of them words. But basically I said, hell yes, sign me up. Like, so worked out a deal. And, know what's great about Tommy and Flea, and what I was talking with Flea about was when I get in a race car, and the reason that I was always drawn to racing, I've always been drawn to sports. I was a baseball manager in high school, football manager, basketball manager, was an equipment manager for the University of Missouri Tigers for a year. Like I love sports, but I never could compete. And that was the thing that always made me sad. I mean, my family's highly competitive. I don't care if it's a golf game or a freaking game of cards, like play to win. So, but that's what was always great about racing, is that I could compete. For that amount of time, the CP didn't matter. The crutches didn't matter. The surgeries didn't matter. What I got going on later in the year, trying to have some corrective surgery, it's all out the window. All that matters in that moment right there, when you slam the visor down and you put them belts on, it's you. And it's those people around you. And it's not about Zack Morgan having CP. It's Zack Morgan, the driver of the number 14 Bass Pro Team Ripper midget, you know, and that, but long rambling thought, but that's what's cool about Flea and Tommy. It wasn't about, well, we need this seat and we need it filled and we're going to see if Zack wants to do it for some money. These guys did it for nothing. To get me back in that competitive arena and to get me, to allow me to compete. Sorry.
No, it's good. I completely understand.
And I'm so thankful and so honored that they even thought of me to even do this deal. I mean, I know it came together so late, but them guys busted their ass to get this thing together. And it's, I mean, it means the world to me. So
hell yeah. As you, now that you're kind of in this and, you know, you mentioned Allgaier there, are there guys you've talked to about, you know, things to do, things not to do, you know, what help can you get from those guys as you kind of get ready to go to Chili Bowl?
I haven't talked to him about help. I mean, I'm going to talk to Allgaier, obviously when he gets to town, trying to learn some things. I mean, I went to the Chili Bowl last year and watched and kind of understand the format. I texted Ryan Newman about it, and the only thing he cared about was we're on the same qualifier, not. He says, I hope to God we're not in the same heat race. So, you know, so he's not really giving me tips. He just hope he doesn't have to race against me. I think he's a little nervous. I might, you know, might show him up a little bit.
I love it. So
no tips yet.
No tips. Have you talked to, I mean, Flea or Tommy yet about, you know, kind of what the plan is for the night, you know, or are you guys, you know, are you going to be there for practice day Monday? Like, you know, what, you know, in terms of getting fitted in the car and all of those types of things?
Yeah. I mean, so I was actually talking to Tommy about that today. I mean, it's Thursday before the Chili Bowl for the people. I don't know when this is going to come out, but it's Thursday, January 7th before the Chili Bowl. And he's like, yeah, we're going to be there Saturday night. We'll put it in the Expo Center Sunday morning. We'll take that thing outside. We'll put you in the car and get you comfortable in the car. So I'll get comfortable Sunday and run it and, you know, figure out the transmission. Cause I've never been in a direct drive car. Like this is, you know, going to be new for me. And then Monday when I roll down the ramp, just try not to shit my pants, I guess. It's like the best. You know, I said that was my goal to Flea. I just didn't want to do that. But man, I'm so looking forward to it.
Nice. Do you have I mean, do you have a goal? Do you have, you know, are you trying to make it to a certain main? I mean, have you thought about any of that stuff yet?
I don't know. You weren't recording before, but I got 2 goals. Goal number 1, don't be number 1 on the flip count. And goal number 2, don't finish dead last.
There you go.
So I know I got a good piece. You know, Flea builds great cars and Tommy really takes care of cars. I mean, I put some pictures of the car on the internet and it's a solidly built car. And, you know, I have no concerns from a mechanical standpoint. So I think we'll beat a couple guys just because some of these guys don't take care of their stuff. I'm hoping a couple of them just drop out because, you know, their stuff's not quite ready. Whereas Flea and Tommy and Greg and all those guys really take pride in making sure their stuff's right. So, you know, I think we can check both of those boxes. The first box on the flip count, not 100% sure. That's the one I'm not so confident about, but I'm really going to try.
The one thing we did with Ross when we brought him is we made him do as much kind of online R Factor, our iRacing type stuff. Are you able to do any of that stuff to try to get yourself ready for this?
I've got an iRacing setup sitting right next to me. And honestly, this is going to sound bad. Some guys can really take that simulator and translate it real well, but I've never been one of those guys. I just, nothing replicates the real thing. And I've raced everything on that sim, and I've raced most things in real life that I've raced on that sim. Doesn't feel the same.
Okay.
You could put me in the sim and I'm a half second off, but you put me in a real car and I'm right there.
Yeah.
Not saying that's my goal for the Chili Bowl or that's where I'm going to be at the Chili Bowl. Hell, I'm probably just going to be in the way more than anything. But you know, just checking an old item off the bucket list is what Flea texted me last night. And you know, but so yes, I have the Chili Bowl sim and I have the midget, but I'm terrible in it. So I hope what I say is true, and I'm a hell of a lot better in real life than what I am on there.
Yeah. So what we're going to do here is I wanted to kind of get you ahead of time, get your impressions, kind of, hear the story out. And then we're going to let you go race. And then when you come back from Chili Bowl, we're going to do this again and kind of let you talk about the week and, figure out how it went and all those types of things. So I'm at this point, I'm gonna let you go and we're going to say good luck at the Chili Bowl. Everybody look for the Bass Pro Shops. You said it's number 14, midget.
Yeah. I'm. This is the part I got down. I was always a marketing guy, so yeah. Just look for the number 14 Bass Pro Shops, Big Cedar Lodge, Jacksonville Speedway, Team Ripper Esslinger. We're gonna go give them hell.
Hell yeah! So we will see you here in probably about 10 days, 11 days here after you get back from the Chili Bowl.
If I don't come back, I'll send Tina.
She
can come talk to you guys.
All right, back on the show now, post Chili Bowl, Zack Morgan. Let's jump into it. What are your thoughts now after we're kind of about a week and a half now, kind of separated from Chili Bowl, and overall as you kind of look back on the weekend, what are you going to remember and what are you going to take away from the weekend?
Well, I had 2 goals, right, and I was 50% on my goals. I did not finish dead last. I did join the flip count, so like 50%'s an F. But 100% on the fun meter, 100% on the experience meter. And man, just so thankful and so grateful for the opportunity, just to be there and be in the building and be in that atmosphere and compete. Like the one goal that I actually made good on, I didn't want to finish dead last, and I did not finish dead last. I was in the L main. There was M mains. There was people that finished behind me. So, but it was a lot of fun. I went in the building on Sunday, having never been in a midget in my life. Justin Allgaier walked up to me and he goes, you know how to start one of these things? And I said, no. He said, you know how to put one in gear? I said, no. He said, well, you want to learn? I said, well, it's probably be a good time, So he walked me over to my car and, taught me about the in and out box and taught me about the push start and the switch and, turn the fuel on. I mean, I come from, I guess, what all these open wheel guys call cab cars. So come from the cab car side. So we got starters and, Burt transmissions make it all real easy. So, but man, it was fun a lot of time. It was frustrating some of the time. It was a learning experience all week long. And I just got to give, first of all, a big shout out to Justin Allgaier and Trey Gropp, who drove for Flea, Ruzic, and Team Ripper, that helped me out so much this week. I mean, I went from never being in a midget And those two guys right there literally were an open book for me. And I don't think I did very well anyway, but it would have been a lot worse had they not been there. So, just thankful for them and thankful for their mentorship. And yeah, I really want to do it again. And I really want to get some time in these cars. And I would really like to make some midget starts this summer, because I'm not going to be Rico Abreu and I'm not going to be Christopher Bell, right? But I think I could be decent, F main maybe. Ryan Newman made it to a G main. So, I could be like Ryan.
When you first get in the car, were you comfortable? Did you fit well? Were there a lot of issues, with moving the seat or anything like that? Did you feel pretty good when you got in the car?
So when I got in, actually, with my disability, the car works really well for me, because you're literally mashing the gas and mashing the brake, and you're basically perpendicular in that car. So whereas in your even daily driver, you flex your ankles, right, and you hit the gas and brake. But with these cars, you literally stand on it. That's where it literally comes from. So it worked really well. We had to make some adjustments. There was some modifications made with heel risers and a padding under my seat, and just little comfort things. I was really sore when I got out of that car, because I would get in, get out, get in, get out, get in, get out. And man, I went home that night and I texted my buddy Greg from Off Axis, and I said, shit, man, I may have to sell all my stuff when I get back home. I remember why I quit racing, because I was so sore. But magically, I get in the car Monday morning, fire that thing up for hot laps, and I want to race again. So adrenaline and good times have a really good way of making you forget how bad you hurt. So
how was it that first opportunity to roll out onto the track inside the Expo Center? Was your heart rate through the roof? Was the adrenaline pumping? How did you feel?
So I went out for hot laps Monday morning, and they push you down the ramp, and you got a four-wheeler behind you, and I made that right-hand turn and to go out on the Expo, and I literally just said to myself, well, here we go. I'm here. We're really doing this. And I had never been in a car that had so much torque, so much drive, and was so easy. I don't want to say easy to maneuver, but this is the lightest thing I've ever driven. I'd driven a big heavy asphalt car and driven a pretty heavy modified that gets up on the bars, So when they threw the green flag, I was on the backstretch, and I hit the gas, and that car hooked up, and I literally, if you could hear on the GoPro, I just was like, okay, here we go, holy shit, and what I was most nervous about, honestly, was just how the car would feel in the corner, because you just don't know. And so Flea and Justin and those guys, they were like, stay on the bottom, stay out of the way, off the gas in the middle of the corners, on the gas in the straightaways. So I was like, okay, so I'm rolling out there, and I'm like, all right, that's how I'm going to feel, and that's what I'm going to do. Well, I go out there and I make one lap on the bottom, and naturally the track was pretty slicked off, so everything was good on the cushion and in the middle. So I went there, and one lap in, and I'm on the cushion, and I come in and nothing was hurt, and Allgaier comes to me and goes, what the hell? What happened to staying on the bottom? And I was like, it's just where it wanted to go, man. I can't help it. And he's like, oh, you did great. So that checked the box the first day, the car fired. I pulled the car out of gear, we're all good, and then we get to Wednesday. So I'll let you be the host and take us.
No, and I guess, that's kind of the other part of this, right, is the adventure that kind of ensues. And, I know you had some issues on Wednesday and you had some issues on Saturday, but, I think overall, the support system you have around you, you mentioned Justin, you mentioned Trey Gropp and Flea, when you get back up the ramp on Monday and even on Wednesday, when you have issues, what are those guys saying to you? And what kind of things are they helping you with? What kind of things are they saying to you to kind of keep you going as that week progresses?
Well, a lot of people look at this as a good story, and it is a great story. And I don't want to take away from it. I mean, I walk with crutches and, by all rights shouldn't be here. But those guys know me well enough that when it's time to put on the helmet and it's time to go, like, I want to make it a good showing, not for the kid that has CP and not for everybody else that wants to make this a good story. Like, I want to do well. And those guys and the people that I've always surrounded myself with in racing have always treated it that way. So when I screw up or when I don't do something right, I want them to tell me, and I want them to be honest with me, and I want them to provide me feedback. And, Justin and I went through the video on Monday, and I said, what do I got to do to get better? And he was like, honestly, Zach, like, you did just fine. And he said, it's time. He said, if you try to do too much at this point, like, you're going to end up, doing something you probably shouldn't, which brings us to Saturday. But, we did get through Wednesday, which was good. Practice crash there with Mr. Moffitt, typical asphalt jockey, not letting out of the gas. I mean, I'm one of them too. So Brett, if you listen to the program, sorry I didn't get to see you, but got to feel you at least a little bit. So we went in, broke a shock in hot laps, which really just, I forget we can curse on this program. It really pissed me off because I really want to take care of Tommy's stuff, right? I mean, it's not my stuff. So I really wanted to take care of it, and pay $0 to win hot laps, zero. So, and that's not where it's time to be good. So we went in, fixed everything, went out for the heat race, car wouldn't fire. I'm thinking, well, how am I screwing this up? Like, I'm doing something wrong. Like, make sure the fuel's on, make sure car's in gear. Like, everything seems to check the boxes, right? So we come in and car won't fire. So they say, get off the racetrack. So I come off and they push me back up the ramp, and, they take the hood off, and I hit Moffitt so hard that it actually knocked a spark plug wire off the engine. So I wasn't running on enough cylinders to make it roll over. So
walk me through that incident with Moffitt. I know, like, in hot laps, he kind of screws up down the backstretch. He's kind of all out of shape. And then he gets down into 3, gets up on the berm, gets up on the bike. And then you are, like, literally have nowhere to go. But
I'm committed. I was asking Allgaier and Trey, I was asking them all week, like, what do I do different? Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I thought he was going to flip down the backstretch. Yeah. I had a great view for all that. I'm like, well, I was off the gas completely going down the backstretch, and these cars don't stop. Mm-hmm. So, like, I don't know how many people here are familiar with midgets, but they're not like cab cars where you can hit the brakes in a late model and they're actually going to stop. But midgets are not like that. It's go or no. Like, there is no in between. So I was all the way off the gas, still going at a pretty good clip. Thought he was going to flip down the backstretch. He gathers it back up, throws it back down into 3. And I was like, well, okay. So I start to gas the car back up to give it, some traction to turn, because these cars won't turn if you're not on the gas.
Yep.
So right when I was doing that, he decides, well, I'm really going to flip for real this time. And I was just like, boom, just, nowhere to go. So disappointing. I'm disappointed for him and his guys. I mean, obviously they had to fix a Nerf bar and whatever else they had to fix. And, I broke a shock on a car that's not even mine. So, but it was all okay.
How did it go then the rest of the night? Like, obviously you have the issues in the heat race, you don't fire. And then from there, is it kind of a mad scramble to try to figure out what's wrong, or did it, that kind of resolution of the problem happen pretty quickly?
Oh, we fixed it pretty quick. And then, the Chili Bowl, Brian Holbert, I don't know who allowed me to do this, or if it was pretty commonplace. They allowed me to go back out in a couple of heat races later, make sure the car would fire. Mm-hmm. Car fired right up. So one thing I did, I was joking with Steve Hahn about earlier in the week, and he's Emmett's son. Chase Elliott got a few extra hot lap sessions, and it's, Chase is a good dude, nothing against Chase, but it's like, hey man, like, the rest of us are here too. And like, he has more experience in that kind of car than I do. And like, like obviously can drive the wheels off of a race car. So Steve was there and I said, hey, Steve, I said, how many cup championships you got to win to get an extra hot lap session? He said, 1. So I said, okay. So I wasn't thinking, I should have retorted with, well, how many you got to sponsor? So, but nah, but it's just part of it. And, no ill will to Chase or nothing, but I got a pretty good laugh about that most of the week. So,
but you guys did get back out and run the CMain, correct?
We did get out and run the CMain, started dead last. And I got better and better as the race went on. I mean, it was 10 laps. And Justin told me my best lap was my last lap. And I think Newman either won the CMain or finished second. And my times were pretty close to his. So they're like, it's just time. And that was the theme for the week of, well, Zach, if you had more time, if you had more seat time, you would be better. You would be okay. Like, but this is a hard place to get it, and it's a hard place to make a run at it because I mean there's 300 and some cars. So, but man, when I finish the CMain, go up the ramp, pull the car out of gear, everything happens, and dude, the tears just, I just. Sorry.
No, you're good.
What it meant to run those 10 clean laps and to be in that moment. I mean, I know I finished 9th in a CMain, right? Like, but just the effort and the amount of time that people like Tommy, Casson, and, Flea, Ruzic, and Allgaier, and Trey, and, everybody that helps on that deal, the amount of time that they put in so I could be out there, it was such a cool moment Wednesday night, and to know that, we get to go back and do it again on Saturday. And it was just a really cool experience.
Did you hang out then all week, or did you go home in between, or what did you do?
No, man, I was there all week. I
Nice.
mean, Flea had cars running every night. The one night he didn't have cars scheduled to run, I ran. So, got to hang out with Justin, got to hang out with Trey and the guys that he had running for him. And, get to watch great racing. I mean, first and foremost, I think anybody that gets in a race car has to be a race fan first. I don't think there's a single driver that, I don't care if you're racing go-karts at GoPro Motorplex or, midgets at the Chili Bowl, or you suit up and go to the Daytona 500. Everybody's a race fan first, and it's a passion, right? Like it's a, so to be there and to watch that kind of racing and to watch guys like, up and comers like Trey Gropp, Justin Grant, the kid that won Power Eye this year, Jake Newman.
Oh, Jake Newman, yeah.
To watch up and comers like that, like not necessarily up and comers, but not the big names like Seabell and Larson and Rico. Like those are great people to watch too, but to watch people that have success and can go toe to toe with those guys, like that's really cool. So of course I stayed all week, man. I mean, I wanted to watch the races too. So
I mean, some of these big time race car drivers, they come in, they race, they leave, they come back later. I mean, McCready was there for his prelim night, then went to Florida to run the late model, then came back for Saturday.
Yeah, if I had a late model ride like that waiting for me, with Rumley support, I would probably fly to Florida too, and miss some prelim nights. But I had nothing else going on. Went to B-dubs every night with Allgaier and Flea and Greg and the whole crew. So. Yeah, I mean, it was a special week. So
walk me through Saturday. I know, it was going real good till it went real bad.
Yeah, it was, so I go out there and, Justin was like, run the bottom. He said, the track is junk. He's like, there will be people make mistakes in front of you. He said, run the bottom. I was like, all right, this time I'll actually listen because there was nothing up top. So I'm running the bottom and I'm up to like 9th or 10th, something like that. And I was 2 spots out of a transfer. So I'm like, well, I think I was running 8th, I believe. But caution comes out. And I will never forget this as long as I live. I look up to someone like Flea Ruzic, and like, if you know who he is, if you know what he's built and been around with Brad Loyette and so many others, like, he's a hard guy to, like, I don't want to say please because that's not the right word, but like, he's been there, done that, you know, everything.
Yep.
So under this caution, I'm riding around out there, and Flea standing the top of 3, and he's clapping his hands like, all right, doing a good job. So that was pretty cool. And then it went south in a hurry. So I got snookered on a start. I never started a like cone start before. So I'm sitting there thinking like, all right, don't screw this up. Don't go below the cone. Don't hit the cone. Just really got to try not to hit that cone, because they will, Chili Bowl's a place where they will throw the caution. You're going right back to the back. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. So, So, all right, we make it past the cone, but I didn't protect the bottom enough. And of course, we're in an M main at the Chili Bowl. There ain't a whole lot of like respect, I guess. So old boy drives her down into 1 and uses me to basically get through the middle of the corner. And it just threw my rhythm like all out of whack, right? And I hit the backstretch wall. And when I did that, the right front started to go down. And like, I didn't know that at the time, but like the car was getting harder and harder to turn, and hit the front stretch wall a few times. And then finally, with like 2 to go, hit the front stretch wall and finally flipped it over. So once again, not my race car tearing shit up. So not a great way to end the week. But I think I said I'm sorry to Tommy and Flea like 100 times when I got back to the pit area. But you know, all in all, good experience. Like I want more. Like I'm hungry. Like I think I here's something I've always struggled with. Like with me racing, like a friend of mine that built my street stock car told it to me best. With who I have around me and who I have supporting me, with Johnny Morris and Bass Pro Shops, and you know, all this, he said 1 or 2 things is going to happen. Either number 1, you're going to go out there, you're going to kick ass, and they're going to say it's because of who you got behind you. He said, or number 2, you're going to go out there and you're going to suck, and they're going to say, well, we knew he couldn't do it anyway. So he said, you have to go out there for you and like the right reasons. But I've always struggled with like what's good enough, right? Like, is it a you know, making it to a B main one night in a Chili Bowl? Like, is it, you know, making it to a qualifier? Like, and I don't know those goals here. So that makes me hungry. Like, and that makes me want to sit down with Flea and Tommy and Justin and figure out some races to run and figure out some realistic goals and to get that all important, precious seat time. Because I want to come back. Like, I don't want to quit.
As you kind of like look back on it and, you know, just kind of from the racer side, you know, what do you want to be better at? Like, I mean, is it just feel, is it just seat time, or is there, you know, are there like specific, like fundamental things that, you know, you could be better at? You know, are there like, were you able to kind of give Flea feedback about the race car? Like, you know, as you kind of look back from that perspective, what do you think?
No, like as far as like setup and stuff, I knew nothing. I just went out there and drove it, like, you know, which is, you know, what you got to do when you don't really know what you're feeling, right? But as I was talking with Justin and Trey more, I was watching the video and was like, you know, looking at some stuff, and I'm like, well, I'm not driving the car hard enough because these cars have so much side bite and they have to be hiked up basically to go fast. You wonder why so many of them bicycle. Well, it's because they're on the razor's edge anyway. But that's where the speed is. I mean, and that's where the speed is in anything. I don't care if it's F1 or NASCAR or here at the Chili Bowl. Like, the razor's edge is where you're going to find it. And the proof to me, so Larson on his prelim night, after practice, sorry, backtrack a little bit. After practice, Newman came over. Ryan Newman and I, of course, know each other a long time, and he was talking to me. And Larson walked in the door, and he was talking to Ryan, and Ryan kind of pointed at me. And, you know, Larson came over, asked me how everything felt. I was like, yeah, it was okay, you know. So on his prelim night, of course, he waxes everybody on his heat race, and he was walking back, and I was sitting there, and I said, man, why you got to make it look so easy? He said, it's not, you know, some bitch is still sketchy. So, and he kind of winked at me, and I was like, you know, if that guy who can drive anything is saying it's sketchy, then it's a time thing, and it's a what you're comfortable with thing. And had the opportunity to talk to Sunshine Tyler Courtney a little bit, about it too, and everybody keeps saying the same thing: time, 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 time. I know nothing about the setup of the cars. Wouldn't know the first thing I would need, other than I won about 100 laps at Jacksonville Speedway in Illinois to know more about it.
I say we know some people. We could probably get that done.
Yeah, or Marcus Smith. If you listen to the program, Marcus, hey, how you doing? Can we get the dirt track in Charlotte? Can we hook that up?
For sure. Well, how do you feel after all of this? I know you kind of went for a tumble and it probably didn't end the way you wanted it to, but physically afterwards, are you okay? You're not bruised up or nothing like that?
I had some bruises. I had some bruises after the practice crash with Moffitt, and I had a couple bruises on my chest, and that was a Hans device deal. So I actually got a hybrid Saturday morning and wore it for my tumble, which I'm glad I did, because I didn't have any bruises from that I know of. When I took the tumble, knees banged up against the steering column, and I had pretty good bruises on my knees for a couple of days, and I had a headache for a couple of days. Probably had a slight concussion, but it's the name of the game. I mean, I can fall going down my driveway to get the mail and get a concussion. I mean, that's just the name of the beast with cerebral palsy and what I have.
What's your girl think about all of this? Was she mad at you?
No, I mean, she knew. She would act mad publicly. Like if I brought her in here right now, she'd be like, "Oh no, never again," publicly. But I honestly think she knows what it means to me to be on that stage and to be able to compete. Just like so many people around me. I mean, my dad wasn't the greatest. He didn't want me to do this either, and he brought up McCready, breaking his neck at the Chili Bowl, and he knows what he's doing. I mean, racing is dangerous, right? Like it's not I feel like we've come so far in safety and so far in the advancements of, everybody's going to get to come home, that sometimes we forget just how dangerous this is. I mean, we get reminders with, McCready and his deal, and Ryan Newman, obviously Daytona in February, and, the F1 guy, burned his hands, Grosjean.
Yeah.
But that's a constant thing in racing. But our love for it and our need for it, like it's a need. Like, and I came home just hungry. I was on the phone with John, Morris with Bass Pros. Like, we got to get a deal together. Like, I don't want to quit. Like, got to get the modified going. I want a 12 race deal in the midget. Like, we haven't got to sit down and talk figures yet. So if he ever watches this, I'm probably going to get in trouble. But, but man, I was just hungry, and to see how excited he was really cool too. I mean, he had me on the store manager's call a week later, and had the footage of me flipping, and a couple interviews I got to do while I was down there, and to see someone like that excited for me. I mean, obviously it's more than just a employee relationship. It's a friendship too, but it's a guy that's won championships and literally the three biggest, things in sports, with the Truck Series, the Busch Series, and the Cup Series, one Daytona 500s, one Coke 600s, but for him to be that excited for me was really cool too, man. And what brings me around the sport and what keeps me here and what makes me love it so much is the people. Like, I want to race for Tommy again. I want to be around Flea, and I want to be around Trey, and I want to develop as a driver, and I want to go to dinner with those guys, and I want to hang out. And I could never race again, and I would be okay with it. But I want to, and hopefully, we can make some stars align and make that happen. But yeah, it's always the people, man, and you'll have hundreds of guests on this podcast, and every one of them will tell you that it's the people that keep us motivated, whether it's our family, our kids, our wives, you know, our crew guys, like sponsors. It's always the people, and just being in that building and being around those people is, and to know that I get to suit up with them and pull those belts down and put that helmet on just to be with those people and to compare myself to them is undescribable. You can't beat it.
So what's next steps then? When are we going to see you out and about again? Or, you know, are we waiting to kind of, you know, get into the springtime a little bit? Like what, you know, do you guys actually have a plan so far?
Well, I got a modified sitting, I don't know, 500 yards from my house. Johnny gave me a big 3-bay shop right here behind the house, and I got a modified sitting in there with an engine that hasn't ran in 2 years. I got to figure out how to run. Newman was giving me shit about that all week. He's like, "Yeah, you've been saying that for 2 years." I was like, "Yeah, just I've been out of the car long enough that it wasn't really a priority at that point. But now that I got back in one, it's like, oh hell, that's all I want to do." So first priority is to get that thing running, and then hopefully, you know, have some conversations with Tommy and Flea, and hopefully get some stuff together. I mean, if it happens, great. You know, like I want it to happen. But it's got to make sense for everybody. Like racing isn't free. And I understand the time and effort that it takes to put a deal together. Like it's not, you know, Tommy's time comes at a cost. Flea's time comes at a cost. And, you know, all those guys will tell you, well, yeah, but we want to help you. But I'm always the guy that wants to be fair too. So, you know, if it makes sense and we can do something, like awesome, let's see if it makes sense. Let's see if we can get some partners behind us. And because, you know, the other thing is it costs money. Like the tire costs money. Like, yeah, I'm a great story and I'm a pretty below average driver, but you know, tires cost money, fuel costs money. It costs money to get up and down the road. And you know, Justin Grant had a pretty good explanation about that on Twitter a few days ago, about what it takes to get up and down the road and the sacrifices people make, and personally, professionally, financially. Like, so yeah, I mean, it's a state of limbo at the moment, but like any other race car driver, always hungry and always searching for the next one.
Well, I'll let you go. I certainly appreciate you taking some time to share your story with us. But I have a little video that I'm going to include when I put all of this together. And it was like, it really struck me when I saw it. But you kind of getting ready to go and you hopping in the car to kind of go out for practice laps, and like the look on your face is, it's like, you know, you have the story and like everybody's going to know you for the story, but like at the end of the day, you're a racer. And like when you could see you climb into the car with that look on your face, it was like, oh shit, like this is serious. Like he's not messing around. Like, and it was like, it was so fun to see that. And it'll be in this video. Actually, you know, people will have seen it before I'm talking about this right now, but tons of respect for you. Hope we get to see you again. And thanks a lot for the time.
Hey, Justin, I appreciate it. Appreciate everything. And thanks for what you're doing for racers to give us a voice and keep everybody informed. I mean, you know, without you and without people like you covering the sport and without people bringing fans in, nobody gets to do anything. So much respect for you and starting this thing. And thanks for having me.